Hi, my name's Jennifer. Welcome to my tiny home. Welcome to the kitchen. This was a part of the RV and living full time that I was the most stressed about. The refrigerator, when you go from a standard home where you have the big fridge and you come to something this small, I didn't know how we were going to possibly fit everything in it. For the first 6 weeks that we lived full time in the RV, this was all we had, and we do a week's worth of groceries from Costco, and it was actually surprisingly easy and totally fine. With the kitchen in general, our stove didn't work, and that meant we got to choose something else, and we chose the gas stove top, which I love. Although 4 burners make sense because that's what we're conditioned, and I know even with a big family, I have very rarely used more than 2. So I think this particular one is a little overkill, and you could go with 2. The convection microwave, I had gotten so much information and so many great reviews on it. I was really excited, and it has not disappointed. Again, I was concerned about the size. I cook sourdough bread and I can fit the full pan in there. I can cook 2 full-size tri-tips stacked in the convection oven. It's been absolutely no problem. The only issue with basically all ovens in a small space is that they put off heat. And in the summer when it's already hot, you have to be careful about that. So I've tended to schedule cooking early in the morning. If I'm going to cook sourdough or I'm going to meal prep tri-tip and meat for the week for my husband's lunches, I just do it early in the morning so that that's not a consideration. The cabinet is the original cabinet, and initially we were going to have it rebuilt. Most people are familiar that in an RV, the use of space is not ideal. I don't know who comes up with the designs, but it wasn't me, and there's a lot of wasted space. We ran out of time to do that, so this is the original, but we did replace the countertop and the sink and the faucet, and I have no complaints. Obviously, there is very little counter space in here. So up here, we have a cutting block. So we set this here and we have extra counter space. The other thing we can do is it sets on here. So basically, we can move this around. And one thing that we learned very quickly in an RV is that RV life, bus life, it's like playing Tetris. You're moving things around constantly, and you figure out how to set things up so that you're moving them around the least amount, and the things that you use absolutely the most are the easiest to get to. So that's a side note, but definitely in the kitchen, we use this here, we use this here, and then we get it up out of the way. This area was something that we were really excited about as far as storage goes in this RV. Originally, it was smaller, and again, most RVs build their cabinets so the walls come to here and you have all this space back behind that you can't access. So one of the things we did do was open this up, and absolutely one of my favorite areas of this particular RV is this storage space. Otherwise, we have pretty standard stuff you'd have in any kitchen. We just downsized the coffee maker, we downsized the toaster, and then we have all of our dishes, cups, bowls, stuff for our blender. You bring with you the things that you use the most, that are the most important to you, and you figure out how to make that work. In January 2015, we had 12 kids at home, and I was working corporate and my husband was working at his job, and we would drive home and just kind of know there was going to be a tornado waiting for us. With a blended family and 12 kids, we were just overrun with stuff. It was like low-key hoarding. You watch the hoarding show and you think, oh, I'm nothing like that. But when you go through the minimalism process, you realize that we're all a little bit like that. And my husband looked at me one day and he said, I don't really know how to help you clean anymore because I just feel like we have so much stuff. And the same week, a friend came to visit. And you want people to come to your home and feel relaxed and happy to be there. And she walked in and she said, wow, you have a lot of stuff. And those two things happening at the same time made me realize or recognize that I was feeling an awful lot of stress about our home and being in our home and keeping it clean. And I'd say I'm not compulsive, but nearly compulsive at organizing, and we were just beyond that. So I searched Google and I went down the Google rabbit hole, became a Google master on basically what do you do when organization isn't enough. I don't even remember what question I asked, but I asked questions in a way that led me to minimalism, which I had never heard of before. Welcome to the living room, which is right next to the kitchen. This space had one of those jackknife couches. It was super uncomfortable. It was massive, incredibly heavy, and it wasn't anything anyone would ever want to sleep on. We found this on Craigslist, and it was a really good price. Downside, no storage. Upside, we love it, it's comfortable, and we use it all the time. So this was one of those places where we sacrificed storage for something that we found, that worked really well, that was inexpensive, and that we liked. All the shelving up here, these were those open cabinets, and I don't like open shelving in a kitchen with dishes, but I really wanted to open all of this up just to access it. We actually got rid of a lot of our coffee cups. However, we were all allowed to take 3. That was the rule. And this was a great way to save space and keep them out of the way. I would say welcome to the dining room, which was what this was planned to be. We actually did this ourselves after we had help with some of the renovation. It turned into an office though. I'd love to say we eat here, and we do sometimes, but really it's an office. Everything I do is here. My husband is this mad, crazy, wonderful gamer. He has some super powerful, I don't even understand the letters and the numbers, computer. And so he rolls out his little mouse pad and brings the keyboard out, and he actually games here. I work as a doula here in town, and so everything that I do on the computer is here, including my blog and anything that I need to do online. Because of the computer situation and the gaming, obviously the router and modem were really important for us. We have that actually hardwired into the RV on a separate line. And then we set up a sound system, sound bar. We watch TV on this monitor. We hang out. It's right across from the couch. It's easy. So this is one area that we can watch TV. The ottomans. This was such a great find. We were going to get one big long bench, and then my husband saw these, and they fit sideways or long way, and they have storage in them. So for example, in this one, we have also extra cooking. I started taking out what I realized that we didn't use. And so I actually use everything that's in this rig right now. I had 120 pairs of shoes. And obviously I'm probably down to about 20 now. And I justify that still by saying, yeah, but 5 of them are for running and hiking, and I have 1 pair of winter boots. And so, like, do I really have that many shoes? No. But I think with minimalism, like I said before, you need to, minimalism is part paring down and part using your space in creative ways and part learning how to fold things so that they fit right. And so we went through our house room by room. We had a full 3-car garage that we did not park in. I mean, it was just ridiculous. I had 27 boxes for one of my adult kids in my garage. I was like a storage unit. I was keeping furniture because our kids were getting older, and I thought, well, what if they move out and they need this table and chairs? And you keep things sometimes for sentimental value, and sometimes because you think you're going to use them, and sometimes because you don't know what you're going to do. We had pickup from Big Brothers Big Sisters. Our zip code, the pickup was every Monday, and it was so fantastic because we would spend the weekend going through stuff, and for 6 weeks, I just told them every Monday we're filling your truck. And we would go through things on Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. And on Sunday night, we would put everything out in our driveway. And I would drive away on Monday morning, seeing all this stuff in our driveway, just feeling so much stress. And I'd come home and it would be gone. And we started to realize, like, you'd walk into one room and think, wow, I really love to be in this room. And it becomes contagious. So our minimalism journey was strictly because we wanted to reduce our stress and realizing our belongings owned us. Welcome to my daughter's bedroom. This bunk has been amazing, so much more than I thought. We were in her bedroom and we looked at her dresser, and she had 6 drawers in her dresser. And I realized that these black milk crates, we could fit 6 along the back. So she put every single drawer into a crate when we were at the house. She loves this space. The downside is that it's not a space she can sit up in bed. The only thing that would make this better for her or easier is if she could sit on her mattress straight up and down and not have to crouch down. Otherwise, it's astonishing how much we fit up here. It's easy for her to keep neat and clean and organized. It's super comfortable. It's the same mattress that she was using at home. So we really love it. On the way back to the bathroom and the bedroom, we have this pantry. We had a very similar pantry in our house. And honestly, this is about 2/3 the size of the one that we had in the house that we lived in right before this. And it fits everything that we wanted it to fit. We set our buckets for our kitchen into like highest priority, middle priority, lowest priority. And it was really surprising how much we could fit in, a lot more than we expected that we would be able to. Welcome to the bathroom. We didn't change a whole lot in here. This is the original shower. We did change, I think everybody changes the shower head, and this is where we store our dirty laundry. Laundry and trash has to go somewhere, and those were things definitely we were tripping over. And then I thought, we have all this prime real estate. This was the original cabinet, and I loved it. It's actually a cabinet that I like enough that if I did another renovation, I might take it with me. One thing that you'll hear a lot, and it's very true, is that when you're renovating a space this small, you're really able to spend money on higher quality items because you're buying significantly fewer items. Welcome to the toilet room. On the inside of the door, we hung this. These shoe containers work for everything. I used to use one in my pantry at the house on the inside of the door for snacks for the kids when they got home. So we can put a ton of stuff in here. This is the third set of cabinets that is the most exciting in this RV, that really gave us the most space. Our hot water heater, on-demand hot water heater, is right underneath there, so I can access it super easily. But actually, when you see the bedroom, you realize that I have a third amount of clothing space that my husband does. So this is where I actually put most of my clothes. We have my sewing, all of my running gear, socks, vitamins, medicine, like everything that you would have in a bathroom medicine cabinet or underneath your bathroom sink. We put it here, plus probably half of my clothes are in here as well. I 150% did not want a black water tank. I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to deal with the toilet. I didn't want to have to dump it. I really, really wanted to get a composting toilet. We invested in the Nature's Head. I love it. And one of the biggest reasons that I love it is because composting is so much easier than you think it's going to be. One thing that we wanted to do is get a urine diverter kit. And that was something that didn't get done at the last minute. Now that I have not had a urine diverter kit, and I know how often, how much 3 people pee and how often it needs to be dumped, I really want to get a urine diverter kit installed on here. It's a little outside my comfort zone, so if somebody wants to come do it, just come on over, get it done. I think one thing about the composting toilet, I had never experienced using one before, and I tried to get the best of the best. Now that I've cleaned it several times and used it, it is easier than I thought. I would definitely, on another renovation, look into making one myself. Not because of the cost, also because of the ease of using a 5-gallon bucket as opposed to having to clean out this tank and all the nooks and crannies and stuff. How gross is that, talking about poop? Welcome to the bedroom. This side of the bed, as you will notice plainly, is twice the size of that side of the bed, and that is my side of the bed. This is my husband's side of the bed. This corner cabinet, I hated it. When we bought this rig, I hated it and I wanted to take it off. We did take the door off. I'm really glad that I didn't do that because we actually use it a ton. This came as a hanging closet, and I find it interesting when people do tours and they're like, so much hanging space. I had 5 feet of hanging space at the house, when you take 5 feet and you try to condense it, this is not a big space. We decided to do something totally different. We turned this into shelving and got these containers. They fit perfectly 2 deep. So they're 12 by 12 or 10 by 10 containers made by the Home Edit store. And it just worked out perfectly. So my husband was able to get everything he owned. Here's an interesting thing about minimalism, in my opinion. Part of it is getting rid of things that you don't use. Part of it is finding creative uses for your space, and part of it is learning how to fold it so it fits into the space that you have. We took off the doors. I wanted shelving. We had this rail put in. It has a lip on it, and I think that was overkill. You worry when you drive, things are going to spill out. Here's another super hack from all van life, RV, bus people. Velcro, command hooks, command strips, museum wax. You figure out ways to secure things. Nothing has ever moved when we've driven this, not even remotely, not even a little bit. Welcome to my super half the size of my husband's side of the bed. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm just, being silly about it. It is crazy how much I was able to fit on this side of the bed. On my side of the bed, again, we got rid of the closet rod, and I happen to have these in my garage. You don't need to repurchase everything for this. We used everything that we had existing first and then kind of filled in the spots that we didn't have it. So I'm really glad it was one of the things I didn't get rid of. So I have these drawers, and again, it's just the way you fold your clothes that made me be able to, that allowed me to be able to fit so much into this space. In our minimalism journey, we continued to downsize until our last house was 1,000 square feet. And I don't know if it's been more my dream or more my husband's dream. I think we've taken turns with that to actually live in a tiny house. We looked at tiny houses, we looked at buses, we looked at RVs, we looked at vans. We settled on an RV because they're more readily available, and they're easier to buy. The electrical and the plumbing is done, kind of the bones are there. I would have to say, in hindsight, it's my least favorite because they're not insulated well. It's not a metal exterior. So you just have to understand the pros and cons of what you're getting. We decided that we wanted something that was big enough that we could comfortably drive it. We're in a 31-foot Class C, but small enough, I guess, that we were comfortable living in it. And we perfectly found that balance. This has been absolutely the perfect choice for us. We wanted something with a motor. And some great advice we got in our journey to get this deep into minimalism was just figure out what you think will work and get into something, because you don't know until you get into it. We love the rig. We love the storage. We love how we've set it up. We would do things differently in this rig, but probably more if we did another rig. One of the issues that we were nervous about, where we vacillated, was get a smaller rig you can travel in and like a massive fifth wheel that would be twice the size to live in. And I think we were intimidated. We didn't want to buy a truck. We were intimidated by needing to move it, even though we're full-time stationary. And it's one of the things that when you get into it, you realize probably wouldn't have been a big deal. One area of our RV that is completely unused space is the front cab. Because we are predominantly full-time stationary, I want to be able to use this side of the RV. And this is where we hung our clothes. When I said we didn't really compromise on what we took, we really didn't compromise. I did use these hangers that kind of fold things down so you have multiple things hanging, but it was a great way to use the space. If you're wondering, well, what about when you drive? What do you do then? We actually just take the hangers out. We've laid them on the couch before, or we've laid them back on the bed. It's somewhat of a pain, but because we're 99% stationary, it's really not that much of a hassle. It's so worth using this space that we don't care that we have to move it when we travel. And welcome to the outside of the rig. It took us about 7 months to find this rig, the size we wanted. It was our second choice in floor plan, and we've done the interior renovation. However, we are still going to do the exterior. We're going to replace the roof, all the trim. It's always a work in progress. This is Fred. I lived in Alaska for 10 years and he was carved with a chainsaw on the side of the road. The kids named him and he's been at our front door for over 20 years. I would love for you to reach out to me. Like I said, my husband and I live here in Reno, Nevada. He works a job for a company and I am a birth and bereavement doula. And I would love for you to reach out. My website is becomingparents.us. I've had a podcast for 5 years. I have a book that I'm happy to send you via email for free. You can have the PDF. I love comments and contact and conversation. If you're in the Reno area and you're thinking about getting pregnant, you've had a pregnancy loss, or you're expecting a happy delivery, would just be thrilled to talk you through that. Thanks for coming on my tour.